Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the nation. Glad to have you with me. We got to begin with the insurrectionary rhetoric, the revolutionary rhetoric, the invasionary rhetoric of the Mexican government right now in California. And the left wing rioters, the protesters, Katy Perry, they're all declaring California is actually Mexican territory, while you've got Democrats lying about sanctuary status. The phone number here, 877-973-7425. You can text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777 if you want to get the show notes, the live stream, the podcast, all that. But here's what's happening. The Mexican government is fueling the rhetoric of the rioters in California now, claiming that actually California, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, that it all belongs to Mexico. You should know that actually it was Spanish territory. The Mexicans held it for just a couple of decades. We actually have had it for way longer than them. And if you want to follow it all the way back, it actually belonged to some Native American tribes. And nobody wants to say that. They just want to hand the territory back to the Mexicans. The Mexican government is actively now, through political entities in California, claiming that these people actually are Mexicans. The Mexicans belong there. They live there. They should claim the territory for Mexico. This is funded by the Mexican government, heightening the tensions and the rhetoric in Los Angeles. It's not just them. The idiot Katy Perry, who tried to oust nuns from a convent to take it as her home, is out essentially claiming that Los Angeles belongs to the state of Mexico. Now, no one should listen to an idiot like Katy Perry, but, there are dim-witted people out there who, if a celebrity were to tell them to commit suicide, they would. Look at the people who joined Jim Jones's cult. Katy Perry is a blithering idiot, but she is in the popular left-wing zeitgeist telling people, oh, this is actually Mexican territory. Where do you think we get Los Angeles from? It's heightening tensions, not lowering tensions in California, and they don't care about it. Meanwhile, in Congress, you have Tim Walz saying that he never signed laws to make Minneapolis or Minnesota sanctuary city or sanctuary state, which isn't true. I want to paint a broader picture for you here. It is, and I'm going to use a loaded term. I don't mean to load the term, but you do have to understand, you got to be grown up about it, and you've got to understand there is such a thing as Marxist ideology. I'm not talking about communism. I'm not talking about Soviets, but there is Marxist ideology. It is ideas derived from Karl Marx that the postmodernists, who largely inhabited Europe in the 20th century and decided we needed to move on from modernity, that they embraced a lot of Karl Marx's nascent ideas, and they refined them and they expanded them into what we call postmodernism. One of the key elements here, and I don't mean to give you a philosophy lecture. I am not a philosopher. I hated philosophy in college, but I've had to understand this stuff to be able to make sense of what's going on, because these people insist they're telling the truth. You and I will look at these people and say they're lying. And to be clear, they are lying, except they say with a straight face they're not, because of a basic concept of postmodernity that derives from, is built upon a foundation of Marxism. And it's this: where does power come from? I will tell you, in my view of things, power comes from the ability to act on knowledge quicker than anyone else. That's power. But what do Marxists believe power comes from? Particularly postmodern Marxism. Where does power come from? Words, language. Karl Marx argued that language shapes reality. It is a key concept you've got to understand to be able to understand what's going on here, how these people can look at you with a straight face and deny what you're seeing. It is, you get it in the book 1984. You can pick it up in Animal Farm. It is something George Orwell knew and took to heart from Marxism. Language is power. What does language do? Language tells you what the weather is. Language tells you whether something is good or bad. Language tells you direction. If you look outside and you say the sky is blue and the grass is green, that shapes your reality. The sky, and see, this is where Marx comes from. The sky doesn't shape your reality. The grass doesn't shape your reality. What you think about them shapes your reality. And what you think about them comes from language. So if the Marxists all get together and insist the sky is green and the grass is blue, and everyone around you begins to tell you the sky is green and the grass is blue, pretty sure soon you're going to start saying, well, the sky is green and the grass is blue. And you're just going to do that through common vocabulary and the vernacular of the day, the words people use. Think about this. Think about this. Think about this. I just said, think about this. How often do you hear the phrase I feel instead of I think? Real common these days. I myself occasionally fall into it. Many of you now say I feel like instead of I think that. I feel like. Where does that come from? It comes from postmodernity. It comes from the idea that emotion shapes reality because emotion gives rise to how you feel about things, and your feeling shapes reality. This all derives from postmodernity. The postmodernism is emotion. It's not rational. It's emotion. So Tim Walz is testifying in Congress today that he never created a sanctuary state. Now, he did. He signed legislation that prohibits local authorities from cooperating with the federal government. He signed legislation that elevates the status of illegal immigrants, gives them safe haven and protection in the state, that denies deportation efforts. He signed what is called a sanctuary city. But they don't want you to believe it's sanctuary status. They are rejecting the phrase sanctuary state. They are rejecting the phrase sanctuary city. They want it in their own vocabulary. These are, what was the phrase on CNN the other day from the Democratic strategist? Undocumented citizen. Undocumented citizen. It's why they don't use illegal alien, because the presupposition is illegality. It's like the lady on CNN the other day who says it's not a crime, it's a misdemeanor. She's rewriting language. She knows what she's doing. I had someone interacting with me on Twitter, a leftist who had in their Twitter their name, the gay pride flag, the Ukraine flag, and a bumblebee. Their identity politics, a postmodernist who kept referring to, yes, the lady is wrong, but what about the civil penalties? It's like, until you're willing to say criminal because you admit she's wrong, it's a misdemeanor, and yet you keep saying civil instead of criminal, I'm not going to engage with you because you're not using the language of reality. And they completely started ignoring me. They can't bring themselves to say criminal. Why? Because if you say, yes, it's a misdemeanor, it's not a crime, what you're doing is trying to reshape reality to deny that illegal immigration is a crime. It is intentional on their part. They don't want you to know they're lying. They don't want you to believe they're lying. They don't want to act like they're lying. What they're doing is they're using different words, trying to then get you, through everyone on their side embracing the same words, to embrace their reality. It's very pernicious. It's why you do have to insist that men are men and women are women. It's why you have to stand on the truth. Postmodernism is against the truth. Postmodernism is for your truth and your feelings and my truth and my feelings. And if I'm a white man and I have my truth, and you're a non-white female and you have your truth is supposed to trump my truth because I am supposedly from the oppressor class and they're from the oppressed class, and we must elevate the voices of the oppressed because they have power and morality because they've been oppressed. So along comes the Mexican government now, through its agents inside the United States, insisting that this territory is Mexican territory. You can see where this is headed. It's very insurrection-y. It's very invasive invasion rhetoric, that this is Mexican territory. And you have people like Katy Perry now echoing it, the singer. You have others in Hollywood saying this because they want to change the reality. If sovereignty does not matter, then it breaks down the argument of where California belongs. It breaks down the argument of citizenship. Undocumented citizen. That was a phrase uttered by a Democratic strategist on CNN. Undocumented citizen. It's no longer an undocumented immigrant. An undocumented citizen is someone who has lived in the country their whole life. They may not be a citizen under the law, but they're a citizen because they collaborate in and participate in American civic life. They're trying to rewrite the language so that they don't have to confront what is happening. The Democrats and the Republicans got together in the 1980s and said, you know what, we've got a problem with the border. We've got a lot of illegal aliens here. We're going to give amnesty. We're going to allow people to stay, and then we're never going to do it again. But as our population declines in the country, and by the way, it is a very real problem. Our population of native-born Americans is declining. We do need immigrants in this country to sustain ourselves. But the Democrats need illegal immigrants to prop up their margins for congressional representation of the Electoral College. And so the Democrats flooded the border, allowed it to come. And what happened? Joe Biden said the border's secure, and the media echoed him. We all knew it wasn't secure. The voters weren't fooled, but the media insisted. The Democrats say the border's secure. Pay no attention to the images. Pay no attention to the data. And by virtue of them saying it was secure, the message was for Democrats to deny that there was a problem, and they could allow it to metastasize and grow. And so now here come the Republicans and Donald Trump, and they want to fix it. They want to get rid of the illegal immigrants. They want to deport people, and suddenly it's bad. And suddenly California actually is Mexican territory. They're playing word games with you, and you can't let them do it. You can't let them win. And this is why, as much as I have long held the belief that if someone's been in this country 30, 40 years, probably should just let them stay. They committed a crime coming here. Since they've been here, they haven't committed a crime. This is why, though, the solution to when you try to reshape reality by changing the words is radical enforcement of reality. It's the only way to fight this is radical enforcement of reality. And the radical enforcement of reality means to radically enforce sovereignty. And that means to escalate the deportations. You have to push back because the only way to get them, since they're playing word games, is to acknowledge reality, is to push them through reality, to push them back to real words, to push them back to the phrase illegal immigrant, to push them back to recognizing these people aren't citizens. And the only way you can do that is to deport the people. Because a citizen can't be deported. Citizen cannot be deported from the United States. So deport the people they're now calling undocumented citizens to make the case they're not citizens. You got to fight the Democrats through the use of words. And the way you fight them through the use of words is you fight them radically through the proposition that truth actually matters. And the truth is these people aren't citizens, so they need to be deported. And that raises the question. The Supreme Court of the United States in 2019 ruled that the President of the United States can get rid of DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. So the question must become now, why has Donald Trump not yet moved to get rid of DACA? It's time for the president to get rid of DACA.